The Hoka Skyward X2 is here, and Hoka did something strange. They took their biggest, most cushioned carbon shoe, and they made it smaller, less stack, less weight, a brand new plate. So is this $225 Super Trainer actually better than the original? In this review, I'm going to give you everything you need to know. What it is, the foam and the carbon plate inside it, exactly how it rides, which runs it is built for, how it compares, and the one catch that nobody warns you about before you hit buy. First, let's be clear about what the Skyward X2 actually is, because the category matters. This is not a race shoe. It is what people are calling a super trainer. Hoka's premium max cushion daily trainer, but with a full carbon plate built in. Think of it as a super shoe you train in instead of one you only race in. A towering stack of foam, a smooth rocker, and a carbon plate, all working together to do two jobs at once. Protect your legs on the hard, high-mileage days and still roll you forward with some real energy. It sits right at the very top of Hoka's everyday range. So what actually changed from the first Skyward X? Honestly, quite a lot, and almost all of it is good. Version 2 is lighter, by about 3/4 of an ounce, dropping down to roughly 270 grams in a men's sample. That might not sound like much on paper, but on a long run, late in the miles, you absolutely feel it. The stack is a touch lower than before. The platform underneath your foot is a few millimeters narrower, which makes the shoe feel more stable and less tippy, and the old knit upper has been completely replaced. But the single biggest change, the one that really transforms how this shoe rides, is the plate. Let's talk about that plate, because it is genuinely clever. Hoka calls it an H-frame carbon plate. And the key thing is that it is convex. It bows upward in the middle, almost like a leaf spring on an old car. When your foot lands and your body weight presses down on it, that plate flattens out, and as it flattens, it stores energy. Then as you roll forward and lift off, it snaps back to its curved shape and springs you toward toe-off. For version 2, Hoka redesigned this plate to be what they call more engaged. It is a narrower design, and it is tuned to drive you forward from the midfoot, so you feel much more connected to the ground and much more pushed along than you ever did in version 1. But a plate is only half the story. The other half is the foam wrapped around it. The Skyward X2 uses a dual-density supercritical foam setup. Supercritical just means the foam is made by blasting it with gas under high pressure, which fills it with tiny, even air bubbles, so it comes out both lighter and bouncier than the old-fashioned stuff. Hoka pairs a softer, more responsive layer up top, close to your foot, with a slightly firmer, more supportive layer down below. So you get that plush, sink-in comfort when you land, but the shoe does not feel mushy or unstable underneath you. It is a careful balance, and version 2 gets it noticeably more right than the first one did. Then there is the shape of the whole thing, the rocker. Hoka practically built their brand on this idea. The sole is curved from heel to toe, like the bottom of a rocking chair. So instead of slapping down flat and having to muscle your foot forward, the shoe just rolls you through your stride. Combine that smooth rocker with the snap of the carbon plate and you get a ride that feels almost automatic. You land, you roll, you lift off, with a lot less effort than the size of this shoe would suggest. That rolling efficiency is the entire point of the Skyward X2. Now let's put the hard numbers on the table, because a review without specs is useless. Stack height, around 48 millimeters at the heel and 43 at the forefoot. That gives you a 5 millimeter drop, which is fairly low, typical Hoka. Weight, roughly 270 grams or about 9.5 ounces in a US 8.5. Up top, a new premium jacquard mesh upper. Underfoot, the dual-density supercritical foam over the H-frame carbon plate. And the price? $225. Okay, the specs are nice, but the only question that really matters is this. How does it actually run? In one word, protective. The Skyward X2 is plush. It is forgiving and it is smooth, with that rolling efficiency that makes your easy miles genuinely feel easier than they should. The cushioning is still enormous. You are sitting up high on a lot of foam. But, and this is the big improvement, the lighter weight and that redesigned plate make it feel noticeably livelier than version 1. The original Skyward X could feel like a soft, heavy tank, lovely to sit in, but slow to move. This one is different. It still protects you, but this time it genuinely wants to move with you. Hoka also improved the upper and the outsole. Up top, the old knit is gone, replaced by a premium jacquard mesh that holds your midfoot and heel far more securely. On version 1, some runners felt a little loose and sloppy up there. Version 2 fixes that. Your foot feels locked down and planted on the platform, which is exactly what you want when you are perched this high off the ground. And underneath, Hoka has put durable rubber on the high wear zones, the heel and forefoot, so this shoe should give you a long, healthy lifespan of training miles. So here's the question I know you actually came for. Which of your runs is this shoe built for? Let's go through it honestly, one type at a time. Easy runs. Perfect. This is the shoe's home. This is what it was designed to do. All that protective foam soaks up the impact of your daily miles and keeps your legs feeling fresh. If most of your week is easy running, the Skyward X2 is an outstanding choice. Long runs. Excellent. Maybe even better than the easy days. This is where the deep cushioning really earns its money. 2 hours into a long run, when a thinner shoe would be letting the road beat up your legs, the Skyward X2 is still protecting you, and that new lighter weight stops it feeling like a chore. Recovery days are just as good. When your legs are trashed from a hard session and you just need to shuffle through some gentle miles, this plush, forgiving ride is exactly what you want under your feet. Now, steady and tempo work. This is where it gets interesting, and where version 2 really separates itself from the original. You would not expect a shoe this big and this cushioned to handle pace, but it does. Better than you would think. Pick it up to a steady effort, or even a controlled tempo. A few honest miles at a comfortably hard pace, and that carbon plate and rocker combine to carry you forward with real energy. It is not effortless, but it moves. For a daily trainer this protective, that versatility is genuinely impressive. But let's be equally honest about where it does not belong. Intervals and racing. No, this is simply too much shoe to run truly fast in. When you try to drop into 5K or 10K pace, all that stack and weight works against you, and the shoe starts to feel clumsy. So do not buy the Skyward X2 expecting a race shoe, because it is not one and it never pretends to be. This is a cruiser, not a racer. Keep your actual racing for a lighter, lower carbon shoe, and let this one own all your other miles. So how does it stack up against the competition? Because you do have options at this price. Start with its own little brother, the Hoka Mach X2. The Mach X is lighter, lower, snappier, and a good chunk cheaper. If you want one fast-leaning trainer that can also nip into a workout, the Mach X might be the smarter buy. The Skyward is the opposite philosophy. More shoe, more protection, more cushion. And against the do-everything king, the Asics Super Blast 3, most reviewers still call the Super Blast more versatile. So you pick the Skyward when your #1 priority is the most cushioned, most protective ride you can get while still rolling well. And who should actually buy this shoe? The Skyward X2 truly shines for mid-weight to heavier runners, for back-of-the-pack runners, and for anyone who wants serious protection without giving up efficiency. If your priority is fresh, healthy legs across a long, hard week of training rather than a personal best on race day, this is one of the best tools you can put on your feet. It is a leg saver, and for the right runner, that is worth every penny. But here's the catch that nobody warns you about, and you really need to hear it before you order: the fit. The Skyward X2 runs small in length, tight in width, and snug in the toe box. Reviewer after reviewer says the exact same thing. Go half a size up from your usual Hoka size. The redesigned overlay on the upper sits across the forefoot and stops it stretching, so it feels narrower than version 1 did. Get the size right, and this shoe is a joy. Get it wrong, and it will genuinely disappoint you. And at $225, value is not its strong point either. And it is not just my opinion. Believe in the Run said that, surprisingly, less stack turned out to be an upgrade. Road Trail Run summed the whole club in 3 words: less is more. Run to the Finish called it a great update and one of the best shoes out there for back-of-the-pack runners. Across the board, the consensus is clear. Version 2 is the better shoe. Lighter, lower, more engaged, more enjoyable to run in, as long as that fit works for you. So, the final verdict. The Hoka Skyward X2 is a better shoe than the original in almost every single way. Lighter, smoother, more stable, and more propulsive. It is a plush, plate-assisted cruiser, built for your easy days and your long days, not your fast ones. Size up half a size, treat it as protection rather than speed, and it could quietly become the most comfortable, most reliable trainer in your entire rotation. If that is what you have been looking for, the full specs and the best price are linked right down below. Thanks for watching.